Hey, Bill, it's Tim Rushlow. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, man. It's an honor and a pleasure to speak with you today.
Oh, thanks, man. Back at you. Where are you at in the world?
I'm over here in Irving, Texas, which is about maybe a 10-minute drive north of downtown Dallas.
Oh, nice, man. That's my stomping grounds. That's my hometown area. So that's awesome. Well, good to speak to you.
Likewise, and I really appreciate you doing this at the last minute. I literally reached out to Don last night, and I feel so fortunate and blessed to have you on the line today.
Well, I really appreciate that, man. It's very kind of you. I think in the business that you and I are both in, which is just, trying to help people exploit their talent and get out there and talk about, live events. And the way I look at it is, I only can do what I can do. And it takes me and you and radio and all of us as one big group of people to promote the arts. And if we don't do it, then it just stops. And so I always consider it a real blessing to be able to talk to people and, share what I'm up to and why I'm coming to town and what I'm singing and what I'm doing and, all those things. It all matters, and so I appreciate the kind words. It's a lot of times there are times I talk to somebody and they're sort of jaded, set in their ways, and the way I look at that as well, they have to get off this phone call and live with themselves the rest of their lives. So I get to go be positive somewhere else.
Yeah,
and,
we definitely need more positivity in this world right now.
Oh, absolutely, and that's really a big part of it. I don't sit on a stage and preach, and I don't sit on a stage and get political. I feel like my job is to make people forget about their problems for an hour and a half, and just dive into some great music which feeds the soul. And that's kind of what I'm all about, what the front men are all about. So thanks for being willing to do a last minute interview, for our show coming up. That's really cool.
Yeah, let's remind everyone that the front men, of course, made up of yourself, Richie McDonald of Lone Star, and Larry Stewart of Restless Heart, will be coming to Legacy Hall in Plano, Texas this Thursday night, June 11th. Tickets are available wherever you can buy your tickets. Would probably advise people to avoid extra fees. Just go directly to the Legacy Hall box office, and you can save that money and buy some drinks at the show with that.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. We're having a blast doing this. A lot of people, and I'll be honest, it doesn't offend me at all when people say, "Hey, man, I don't know what the front man is." To me, that's like, well, that's even better, because we're sort of this new brand based under three big bands that I don't like to be braggadocious, but I guess it's not bragging if it's true. But Lone Star, Little Texas, and Russell's Heart were three of the biggest bands of 90s country,
Yes.
and historically speaking, we've sold 30 million albums. We've got over 30 number one hits. And so when the three of us got together and started playing shows together, we instantly went, oh boy, this is special. And it is, this is not the show you go to where you hear two songs and 20 songs you don't. This is the show you go to where we've got, 30, 40 songs crammed into a very tight schedule of an hour and 45-minute show that's just hit after hit after hit. And every night we just watch people and their jaw drops. We watch them melt. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the soundtrack of my life. And we see it tonight. And so it's such a great show. We have a great time touring together. And, we get asked after the show when we meet people, they're like, man, are you guys really having that much fun? Or is that just is that fake? I'm like, no, it's not fake. We feel very grateful that we get this opportunity to come back out, sing the songs we're known for in the 90s country movement, as well as we sprinkle in a couple new things. And man, it's just an incredible night to celebrate 90s country from, three guys that sang all these hits. And so it's a great night.
Oh, yeah, we're excited to come out and see you guys for the first time. And the front men blend the voices and the hits of, like you said, three major country singers. How has this collaboration reshaped your relationship with the songs you originally made famous with Little Texas?
Man, that is a great question. I think that's one of the top three questions I've been asked. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the question. It's interesting. I embrace my past with Little Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I loved being the front man. I loved being the lead singer. I loved being the voice of the band. And there was a season for that, and I took a big break from all of that. I had some success as a solo artist with a couple record deals and a couple hits on the radio. and it was fun. And then I had a big band project that I did with PBS TV and went out and sang a bunch of Bobby Darin and Frank Sinatra stuff, and was doing that up until COVID hit. And then when Larry and Richie and we actually got together 12 years ago to go play for the troops overseas. And we realized with 3 lead singers singing harmony together, and a lot of lead singers can't sing harmony. They just sing lead. There is a lead singer, but
Sure.
the 3 of us have a canny way to sing harmony together. And it's very powerful when you got 3 lead singers pounding out 3-part harmony, plus our band sings. So it's quite Eagle-esque, and there is a new love affair that I have with the songs in the catalog from Little Texas that I sang back then, and getting to sing them now with really powerful vocalists that just so dis to Little Texas. We were a great band, and I'm very proud of what we accomplished. But the frontman versions of those songs are just like, wow. So there is a new love affair. Every night when I start What Might Have Been, and I start to sing the verses, and then when the band comes in on those harmonies on the chorus, and I hear Richie on the high part and Larry on the low part, and I'm taking the melody, even I'm getting chill bumps going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. It is really, and the same thing goes for, me singing the high part on Amazed with Richie. I mean, God, that's the song of the decade. I mean, it's like, my gosh. And then getting to sing on Bluest Eyes in Texas with Larry Stewart, and we kid about it on stage, but, Larry and Richie and I are always like, man, the Restless Heart got a start in the late 80s before we did. And of course, they had hits all through the 90s. But Little Texas and Lone Star, we wouldn't be here without Restless Heart. So we played some of their songs in the club days. And so we still smile at each other on stage getting to sing, Why Does It Have to Be Wrong or Right, or That Rock Won't Roll, or Bluest Eyes in Texas. We still kind of can't believe I get to sing harmony with this guy. So it's this mutual admiration society. And we love each other. We love that we're getting to do this. And it's something it's very current.
Yes.
It's something that's very familiar, but it's also something that's very nostalgic. So we kind of cover all the bases, and that does bring up a good point. We cut an album with BMG that's currently out there, and we're very, very proud of that album. But we have moved on to a new label that is fantastic, and I can't get into all the details, but I can tell you that deal is being finalized now, and we're in the middle of doing a greatest hits collaboration album.
Oh wow!
With 15 #1 hits, and there are all kinds of artists that fill up stadiums today that were raised on our music that want to sing with us.
Oh wow!
So we're doing 15 #1 hits of collabs with current country artists that are vying to sing on it with us. So it's really cool that the frontmen are getting a chance, kind of like a whole new second career, and that'll be coming out later in the fall or next year, early next year at the latest. But we're just so excited that there's such an energy and a focus, and we get to go out. And we still go out. We'll open for Hardy, or we'll open for Cole Swindell, or we still open for Alabama.
Yeah.
But when we're opening for one of the artists that are current, and we're out doing our show, most of those artists come to us like, why the heck are you opening for me? This is crazy.
Right?
And we're like, no, man, you've got the current hits. It's all good. But we watch those artists just sit there and, they sort of bow down to us like, dude, I don't deserve to be here, and yet they do. They do. And they're, it's just so cool that there's a respect that they have for what we accomplished. And most of them come to us and they're like, dude, I wouldn't be here without you. If y'all had to carve the way for that country pop sound that we love to do, we wouldn't be doing this. And so it's pretty rewarding for us to feel that, and we respect that and appreciate that. And, we did a couple shows with Hardy and just different people that are vastly different than us, but they love what we've accomplished. And so, and that audience base, that's what's probably the craziest thing is the audience is, we've got people that are our age in their late 50s that are the moms and the dads, but they're dragging their 20 to 25-year-olds to the show, and we're watching guys that, weren't even alive when we were recording this, singing every word of it. And it's like, how in the world is that possible? We were playing in Denver, and there were 3 bridal groups there, 3 brides, 3 grooms. They were at our show. They were in their 20s. And after the show, well, first off, Richie sent out, he did a shout out for Amaze to give them a spotlight dance, which was very cool.
Oh, wow.
And then afterwards, we asked him, why are you here? You just got married. And they're like, well, our parents raised us on 90s country, and they said, hey, we can get you a DJ, or we can take you and you can hear it from the tap from three of our favorite bands, from the three singers that are in town. So they made their bridal party coming to see us play, which is crazy. But that we're starting to see a lot of that because, like my son River, River Rushlow, he's a great artist. He's making his way now. He's 20 years old. He's 21 in a couple weeks. All he listens to is 90s country. All his friends listen to 90s country. Half of them didn't even know who I was, which I got a kick out of. So it's really neat to see the resurgence in all of this. Plus, for me personally, I'm a little selfish that I'm coming to play at Plano at Legacy Hall, and I'm from Arlington, Texas, and that's kind of home turf for me. So I'm really happy to be coming home and getting to sing the hits I sang for Little Texas and the songs that Richie sang for Lone Star, and all the songs that Larry obviously sang for Russell's Heart. So to get all that in one night, it's a pretty banging night.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, you just mentioned Arlington. Now, fans here in North Texas have a deep connection to 90s country, of course. What memories come to mind when you think about performing in this region throughout your career?
Oh, gosh. Well, back when I was playing there a lot, there was a club called the Top Rail.
Yes.
There was a Crystal Chandelier, and there was Borrowed Money. And then, of course, I got my start in Fort Worth playing at Rodeo Exchange. And then, of course, as we grew, then we had hits, and we would play, 2 nights in a row at Billy Bob's and just sell it out. There's so many other rooms in town we've played over the years, but Longhorn Ballroom, and there's just so much history there.
Yes.
In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's so many places where there's sawdust on the floor still, and I still love to come home and I love to go hear music. But for me, it's real fun to get to come to town with a band of all-stars and bring this show back to Dallas-Fort Worth and play these songs in Plano. It's going to be a great time. We're really stoked.
Now, you've reinvented yourself multiple times, again, from Little Texas to a big band crooner and now to the frontman. What drives you? What drives your creative evolution, and what chapter feels most you right now?
Great question, dude. You're rocking it on the questions. I'm very appreciative.
Thank you.
Usually I get the stock questions, but these are really good ones. I am an artist, and I'm always evolving. I mean, there are times in my life I felt like a chameleon where I just could climb into anything. But in reality, all of them are me. I love singing for Little Texas. I love the solo things I did. I love my band Rushlow that we had out years ago on Leary Street Records, and that was actually Jason Aldean's band before they were out playing with Jason. That was a lot of fun, and I'm very proud of those guys and very proud of Jason Aldean. They've gone on to be, Jason's huge. One of the biggest acts in the world. Yeah. I'm so very proud that the guys I used to play music with have become his band, his sound in the studio, and his sound live. And that's one of the best bands, and Jason fronting that band is one of the most powerful forces you're going to hear in country music. And I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of Jason and what he's accomplished. So that's a cool thing. And then, of course, after my solo hits that I had on Atlantic and on Lyric Street, and then my cousin and I did a duo thing with Rushlow Harris. We were out with Toby Keith and did that for a while. And then I just kind of took a break. And that was when I thought, you know what, I want to go back and just listen to good music. Yeah. And I started listening to the big band music that I grew up listening to that my dad had in his record collection. And I went ahead and started a label with some friends and put out a big band Christmas album just to see if it would work. And it worked great. And then PBS TV came calling. And then we did one of the best pledge drives of 2017, 18, 19. That was all over. And then, of course, I started playing performing arts centers, doing, music of Bobby Darin and Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, and with a full 23-piece big band. And it was phenomenal. One of the best things I've ever done. But I've always been a crooner, but I've always been a country crooner as well. I'm not your crying your beer country crooner who's traditional. I'm more of a country pop artist, but I love real country music. And so I feel like I finally am in my wheelhouse with the frontman, where I get to share the best of me, and Richie gets to share the best of him, and Larry gets to share the best of him. So we're all three really able to give a lot. And I think the tours we did playing for the troops overseas over the last 12 years. We would go every January and go play for the troops and just felt like we were bringing them a slice of home. That really brought some incredible life memories to us. We also realized that there was something very special about the three of us singing together, and so it is really special, and we recognize that, and we're having a blast. I feel like I'm really in my finest moment as an artist right now, singing with the front man.
You know, I love that you mentioned that you got the big band music from your dad. You know, my dad had original 1930s, 1940s vinyl that was literally like a dinner plate, and God forbid you barely dropped it. I mean, this thing would shatter. Things like Glenn Miller, Fats Waller, Tommy Dorsey, all those things. And when I was a kid, I found them and I would play them, and it's great to hear that you almost had the same kind of thing going on, you know, and you carried it into later in life.
You know, there was some rewarding things happened. I mean, the pledge drive ended up being very successful. You know, we were on our way to doing a lot of performing arts centers, and my whole thing was bringing the whole 1963 Bobby Darin live at the Copa. Yeah. That was really what I was going for. I mean, we've already got Michael Bublé. We've already got these other artists that are wonderful.
Sure.
And I wanted to fit that retro skinny suit 1963. You know,
yes.
Everybody's having a martini or an espresso, and just watching a classic big band do it. And in the middle of all that, I ended up having some conversations with Don Darin, who's Bobby Darin's son. And his mom is Sandra Dee, and his dad is Bobby Darin. So I mean, quite the pedigree. And he was really very kind and very taken by my willingness to sort of portray a Bobby Darin-esque character in the show. And so I was able to, you know, get the endorsement of him and the Bobby Darin estate. And we were moving into some incredible directions. And then COVID hit. And it was after COVID hit that Larry and Richie and I sat down. And we always said when we were doing the tours for the troops, we always said, you know, if we ever get back home and anybody ever really cares, we should go play a few shows and see what people think about it. And then after COVID, it was like, you know what? Let's go try it. Let's just book a dozen shows and see if anybody shows up. And show up, they did. And, you know, so that became the beginning of this. And then, of course, we all had to make the commitment to go full-time with the front men and not do anything else. And so that's what we're doing now. You know, we'll do about 80, 85 shows this year. We're looking to ramp that up a little bit, maybe take it to 90 to 100 shows next year, and just continue to work and build the brand. Because our whole goal is we want to come to town, and when you hear the front men are going to play, we don't want, in 3 years, we don't want people going, who's that?
Yes.
We want them to go, oh my gosh, that's those guys. I love that. Let's go see that. Because there is a lot of bang for the buck, you know, and people work hard for their money, and we want to offer them something special. And I feel like this show brings that. I mean, it's just chock full of hits, and it's it's pretty emotional. You know, you see a lot. We can't really stare at people too much because we're a little emotional ourselves. You know, everybody out there, you see people choking back some tears.
Sure.
Because, you know, these songs evoke, they evoke a lot of emotion, but it's sort of like, you know, Hugh Presswood said it best when he wrote the song for Trisha Yearwood, the song Remembers When. And the songs in our show, you know, when Larry sings I'll Still Be Loving You and Richie sings I'm Already There, you know, and you just see people wiping the tears back because it takes them to that place.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, Amazed is without a doubt, you know, the quintessential, you know, not only the song of the decade, but it's, you know, in everybody's wedding. And,
yes.
You know, some people maybe they've lost a spouse to that song and they need a place to just release it, you know, so it's special. And even when I do What Might Have Been, you see people just going, whoa, you know, so it's pretty special indeed.
Man, I'm so stoked and excited. You got me pumped up for this show on Thursday. And, you know, us fans and people that love your music, we really appreciate you guys, you know, going through the grind on the road, because what you do as touring musicians for a living is not an easy living, but it's a great living. You know what I mean? You go out there, you get to meet these people who are so connected to you through lyrics and music. And we appreciate you guys going through the grind to come to our cities and perform for us.
That's much appreciated. You know, it really is. It's special because we feel the bond. You know, we feel the bond with the people that like our music. And I almost feel like, you know, I sing for free. I get paid for the 23 hours a day I travel.
Right?
I, that's kind of it feels like that to me. And I thoroughly enjoy meeting people and hearing their stories and finding out how much the songs meant to them. And that really does fuel you as an artist and as a songwriter and a singer to go, man, this is my place. This is my spot. This is what God carved this out for me, and I'm going to enjoy it. So it is really a blessing to hear everybody speak every night. And I think, I don't know about all the other artists in the world, but we're very grateful, and we like to show that, by extending a good lot of grace to people and hang out and meet folks and hear their stories. And I think that's the other half of the job, is to be as cool off stage as you are on stage.
Yes.
And it really does matter. So many people come to see us, and maybe they haven't seen us in 20 years, maybe they've never seen us, but they've got a story for you about one of your songs. And there's nothing better than hearing that. It makes you realize that, you made your mark, and that's an important thing for us to know.
Well, I tell you, I couldn't have said that better. And Tim, I can talk to you all day. I want to thank you so much for taking time and consideration for talking with me today. And let's remind everyone, Legacy Hall, the Frontmen, Plano, Texas, this Thursday night, June 11th. You definitely won't regret it. Come out and start that weekend a little bit early.
Come and see us, y'all. You will not regret this show. It's full of hits. You're going to know all the songs. It's going to be a great night. So come on out. Let's do it.